up, everybody? I'm here with my longtime friend Robzilla504, or Rob Taylor, one of the strongest benchers in really the country. Right now we're driving up to West Monroe in Louisiana for a USAPL meet, and Rob is doing bench only, and he asked me if I wanted to come, and I obviously said yes. Rob, you're going for the American record? Is that really what we're going for here? Is that the goal, or did you just want to like max out?
I really just want to hit a PR at this meet, and it just so happens that my PR will be a record. So I'm just looking forward to doing that.
How convenient. Yeah. Okay, so what's the most you've benched in competition? And when you mean PR, do you mean competition PR? Do you mean or overall PR?
No, I always count my competition PRs, because for me, anything in the gym, I mean, it's always a good training max, but it doesn't really count for anything unless it's on the platform.
Yeah.
So my best in a meet was last October at Battle of the Beast, and I ended up benching 556 pounds.
Okay.
Weighed in around 269. I'm a little heavier now. So
how much are you weighing now?
Around 280-ish.
Okay. So you moved from USPA, which has weight classes up to 308 pounds, and you moved to USAPL, which is 264 plus.
Yeah.
And you were weighing about 280, you said.
Yeah, so I'm a big boy.
Yeah. But you can eat whatever you want, which is nice. Like, you don't have to cut weight or anything. You could literally gain 20 pounds and you'd be great. You could lose like 16 pounds too if you wanted to. You can go either direction.
Yeah, no, it's great just being able to kind of eat whatever. I mean, obviously I try to pay attention. I don't just stuff my face all day, but it is nice to know that I have room to kind of, you know, cheat maybe once or twice.
So are you like gonna carb load tonight?
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a plan. I definitely like to get sodium in me, because when I get a lot of sodium, I tend to get like bloated. It just makes me look swollen. So look good, lift good.
Now, you've been drinking Pedialyte too, right?
Yeah, I've been sipping on it.
The hydrate, I guess, help you feel loose, like make your muscles more flexible, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. So all right, man. So 556 is your competition PR. And that was for USPA.
Right.
This meet is USAPL, as I already mentioned. And people tend to not be as strong in USAPL because it's drug tested. Rob is drug free, and he will be drug tested, so naturally it would make sense for him to migrate to this federation and really just shine. I mean, I think a 556 in USAPL is, you know, it's more noteworthy than in USPA, even though in USPA it's still really good, you know. But so I guess your goal is really to set the American record, and hopefully that's a PR at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So actually, is your opener a record?
My opener would pretty much tie the record.
Okay, and you're planning opening with 529.
Yeah.
Getting your second attempt, you'll have the American record, and the third one will just be a PR.
Yeah.
Essentially. Okay. We probably have another like 2.5 hours or whatever. We have stopped at racetrack. We got some like snacks. Rob's drinking the chocolate milk.
Dutch chocolate milk. It's the secret.
It's the secret to getting swole.
This isn't an attempt to get sponsored by Borden's, but if they're offering.
How many of those do you think you've drank in your life?
Oh, dude.
Like how many thousands?
At least 3.
So we just got to the room. About a 4-hour drive. You doing all right?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to eat, man.
Yeah. We decided on Outback Steakhouse. You ready? You know what you're gonna get?
You'll see.
There's the view from our beautiful West Monroe hotel. We're like kind of in the middle of nowhere, honestly. I mean, it's like, it's kind of like a random area, you know, just to have a powerlifting meet, you know. They got a lot of restaurants though. That's one thing. We decided on Outback, get some meat, and Rob's gonna eat like a damn champion in a second. Yeah. What are you thinking, man?
Thinking these onions are great. The steak is going to be greater, but this bread is pretty badass.
All right, so it's like it's like 7:15 in the morning. What are we about to go do right now, Rob?
About to go weigh in.
Yeah.
A very light 135.
Sleep all right?
I slept really good. This is probably the best sleep I've had in a while.
And you said one other important thing, as somebody who benches that much weight. Were you in pain this morning?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Great. No pain.
How many meals do you want to eat today? Like, how many do you want to get in?
Before I left?
Yeah.
One big one before I left, and a snack in between.
So that's Waffle House, and then Grandma's Cookies is your
Grandma's
secondary.
Cookies with some Dutch chocolate milk. Yeah.
Okay, and then here's the Blue Bullet.
Yes, I do fit in this car.
One of the biggest benchers in the country. Dude, it was kind of, I thought it was kind of funny. We're both sitting in the front, and it was kind of like, you're like whipping turns, and you had like 550 pounds of like people in there. All right, Rob, you just finished your weigh-in.
Yep.
What'd you weigh in at?
290, which is definitely off, for sure. I don't think I could be 290 right now if I tried.
You thought you were gonna weigh in at 280.
Well, I thought at least 285. Like the scale might be off by at least 5 pounds. Because I haven't been 290 at all this training cycle.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, man. You expect to weigh in at 280, weigh 290.
Yeah. So.
But you just had to be 264 plus, so I guess it doesn't really matter too much. It's only gonna affect your wilks a little bit.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but I would have liked to have weighed at what I was projected to weigh in at.
Yeah, and then the other thing that you just mentioned was they only have pound plates.
That's kind of disappointing that I have to compete in pounds. It's not a big deal, but I think it's just, you know, a professional thing to have your competitors lift with kilo plates. I mean, yeah. I've never been to a meet where I competed with pounds.
I never have either.
Doesn't matter what they're using. We're gonna make it do what it does, and we're gonna blow some shit up.
All right, you heard it from the horse's mouth. You just got your Waffle House in, right?
Steak and eggs.
You feeling good?
Chocolate milk. Oh yeah.
You feeling well fed enough?
Magnificent. Yeah. Bench day bitches. Putting on some handy dandy somber. It's one of the bench secrets. It's funny, I've actually talked about it in previous videos, and I always give credit to it for being one of my biggest secrets.
You're gonna use that whole container?
If that's what it takes. This is just to keep me warm. Like
keep you warm, okay.
It just helps me keep everything warm, especially my elbows. Feeling good, feeling strong. 2 plates feels really light, as it should, but it feels extra light today, so.
So you can see Rob getting his pre-workout ready here. It's just some standard C4, which is a pretty common pre-workout that you can buy from stores like Costco or whatever. But Rob was pretty concerned with selecting a pre-workout that would allow him to pass the USAPL drug test at the end of this meet, which he did pass, by the way. Rob started with the bar and worked up to 405, 455 shown here, and then 495. Which, I mean, that warm-up is really the fastest you're going to see 495 go up by anybody on the planet. Strong guy. View of the competition venue, and then we immediately shift to Rob's opener at 530 pounds. I'm pretty sure this is a weight that Rob is very comfortable with. He could probably hit it for like 3 reps. You can see he was about to just start, and something obviously just happened, and that was one part of the rack was at a height 6 and the other was an 8, so the bar was slanted. And for somebody who just took his ammonia, was psychologically prepped to go, and has to do a complete reset, that is pretty distracting. And to have to get back into the zone within like 10 seconds after just such a big distraction like that is challenging, but that is part of what makes somebody a great lifter. You kind of have to be able to respond to something like that, and
succeed. This clip here is kind of showing Rob getting in the zone. He's kind of unique in that sense. He goes to this really dark place in his mind where he can, summon this crazy superhuman strength that nobody has, and it's like a meditative sort of thing that I've never seen in anybody, and it's just how he gets his focus. And moving on to 560, he took his ammonia. I gave him the back slaps, and we gave him a lift off. And the lift off was bad. It moved too far forward, and you could see that. And we'll talk about that right now.
All right, so the meet ended a few hours ago, and I think we have an hour left of our 5-hour drive back to New Orleans. Rob, how'd you do, man?
So I ended up finishing with 550 pounds, which was my second attempt, and that just happened to be the highest raw bench ever in Louisiana. That is drug tested.
All time?
All time, yeah.
All time.
So pretty excited about that. I did take a third attempt and I missed it.
So let's talk about your attempts real quick.
Yeah.
So obviously you just watched all 3 attempts, but the first attempt, something interesting happened, and that was the rack height, right?
Yeah.
Basically they put one part of the rack on height 6 and the other on 8. And how did that affect you?
I mean, I had to actually tell them, like, hey, look, I need it on 6. So I was already hyped up, ready. I got on the bench. I went to go set up, and I seen that it was on a higher number, and I was like, I need it on 6. So I kind of had to take a step back, get my thoughts back together. They did it kind of slow. I wish they would have kind of did it quicker because I was in the mindset. And that did throw me off a little bit, but I don't like to use excuses.
But not like too bad. I mean, it was still like fairly quick.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And being a good lifter is being able to lift in any situation and adapting to what's happening.
That's true. I agree on that.
No excuses.
Yeah. Then another thing, coming back to how they had to fix the rack and it was done a bit slow. I mean, it was a great meet and everything, but just the time it took to load the weight was a little bit longer than I've typically seen. I mean,
I agree. Yeah,
it was a bit longer. So Rob finished benching at like 4 p.m. It was really late. So I mean, they probably ended deadlifts around like 8 or 9 o'clock or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is you had a breakfast, but you didn't have like a lunch or anything to eat after that either, right? So
no, I attempted to eat some kind of mint chocolate bar, but that was like torture. I just can't stand mint. But if it was supposed to fill me up, and it did what it was supposed to do, I guess. But yeah, it definitely wasn't my first choice for a lunch at all before a lift.
Yeah, I got you. And then let's see, your second attempt, nothing really happened with that. That was like pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, second attempt went great. The lift off was great. The start command for every lift was pretty long, and I'm not complaining about it. I expect it to be held to the strictest rules possible when it comes to powerlifting. But I will say that the start command was one that I was not used to, one that I did not practice because I did not expect it to be that long.
Yeah, and you said it was like 7 or 8 seconds, right?
I mean, dude, it was long.
I mean, I'm sure it felt like eternity. I mean, when you're holding that much weight. And then your third attempt, I'm sorry, you got your 550, right? I mean, in my opinion, there's a little bit of a sticking point, like 3 inches off your chest, but like after that sticking point, it really flew up.
I agree.
And so we went up to 560. You actually didn't even know what you were going to lift. Avery and I decided, based off how we felt, and we thought 560 was something you could get, but you'd have to really want it. I mean, you'd have to really grind that 560 out. So tell me about your 560.
So before we get into that, when it comes to the weights that I deal with, as far as like the upper 500s, for me to get anything mid to high 500s, everything has to be executed perfectly, from the setup to the lift off to the bar path to the press. Everything has to be perfect. And on my third attempt, when I got the bar lifted off to me, I allowed it to drift, you know, too forward, almost going towards my belly button area. So I had to kind of recollect that and get it in a position. And the whole time, you know, the head judge is waiting for me to regain control of it. So that could have been a 10-second start command.
Right.
You know, and just like I said, just the beginning, having it drift in front of me, that definitely threw me off. Like I said, I don't like to use excuses. You should be able to adapt. And I really thought I could adapt to it. Off the chest, it was great. You know, I just think that from the start, I was out of position. And you have to be in position from the beginning to be in that same position at the end. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with like a max out lift, 500 pounds, I agree with you 100%. Like, everything has to be perfect on that lift. And unfortunately, the very start of your lift, like you said, took a while. And the first thought that went through my head when I saw that like lift off before you're about to go was, wow, that's not good. That could end badly, because you know, it was a fault in something that needed to be pretty much perfect. So I don't know, man. It's like, and this is what we were talking about previously too. Your best competition lift was 556, right?
Correct, yeah.
But that was USPA.
That was
different
USPA
federation.
with my feet up, my head up, you know, pretty much benching how I've been benching my whole life. USAPL, the rules are different. Obviously, I have to keep my head down, which is probably the hardest thing for me to do, because ever since I started benching, I've always picked my head up. So that was very hard to try and get used to in a short amount of time, you know, 6 to 8 weeks. That's pretty, it's not that much time to get used to that. As far as the feet flat, which is also something I had to get used to, I'm pretty happy that I adjusted to that so quickly, because I've always been a toe bencher, and I really feel like I get more leg drive that way, until I started learning how to bench with my feet flat, and now I feel more stable and about the equivalent, you know, leg drive that I had before.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, I had 6 weeks to kind of change the entire way that I bench, and for me to be pretty close to the same number that I was, you know, benching my previous way, I'm happy with that. There's no complaint that I could give for that.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, 556 was your competition PR, but this is almost like, it's almost like this needs to be treated separately in a way, because when you're at this sort of level of benching, I guess you could say, even like minor or seemingly minor adjustments, like keeping your feet flat and your head down, and maybe even a little bit different timing on the calls, just makes a world of difference, you know? So
yeah, I agree.
Your USPA competition PR is 556, and we're just gonna say your USAPL PR is 550, which is the state record
All time, yeah.
And something we were talking about earlier was the American record for, was it 264 plus?
Yeah.
Is 529, which is what Rob's opener was. Actually, your opener was 530.
Yeah, it was a pound over.
And the reason why he didn't break the American record was because this is actually this wasn't even a state level meet, was it?
I don't think so.
I don't think it was, and so I think it needed to be like a state level or national level or something like that in order to break an American record. I mean, and I guess we kind of figured that too, that, you know, he wanted to be able to break the American record at this meet based on technical grounds, because of the fact they had pound plates instead of kilos, which is kind of weird too. So all of the weight selections were like in 5-pound increments, which was different, because normally you're used to seeing like 529.6 or, you know, like these weird increments, and these were all like, you know, nice numbers because they're in pounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was very weird because I trained this whole training cycle on kilo plates, expecting to use them at the meet. And then when I got there and realized it was pounds, you know, it's kind of like, oh, well, why did I spend, you know, all those weeks training on the kilo plates? You know, I really wanted to emulate, you know, a meet setting during my training, the equipment. You know, I have a place where I train where I can, you know, I have a competition bench, I have the kilo plates. You know, it's very a competition feeling.
Yeah, exactly. You spend the time to train like you're in competition. You go out of your way to use the kilo plates, and then all of a sudden, your meat throws a curveball at you where you're using pound plates.
Yeah.
And so all that extra effort was like for nothing, really.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's just how it is sometimes. And going back to what you said, you got to be willing to adapt to certain changes. You know, that's what makes a good strong lifter, is those curveballs that you get thrown. But I don't know, man. 550 is pretty good in my book.
No, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I'm happy with the meet in general. You know, the meet director who put it on, he did an awesome job. You know, he went out his way to help me with whatever I needed. You know, I couldn't have asked for a better experience as far as the USAPL meet, and just the people that I was surrounded by in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a good time. It really was a good time. And then it was funny, the last thing I wanted to mention was your drug test. Like, it was funny, like right after you're done with your 560, like the meet director came up to you, right?
Yeah.
And like he gave you a handshake
and a drug test.
And a drug test.
As soon as I got off the bench, he was waiting for me. So
yeah, he was like really happy to like say good job to Rob, and then here you go. So,
which we both expected that. So that was what we expected.
I mean, we knew 100% Rob was gonna get drug tests. There's no way they're gonna let him bench 550 and not drug test him. But
that's exactly what I wanted, though. I wanted to be drug tested to show, you know, just the general people that follow powerlifting and follow my progress, that, you know, I am drug free. You know, I can do what I do naturally. You know, and that goes to show that anybody can. You know, you don't need to rely on certain drugs to be the strongest version of you possible.
Right. But you also get that a lot, though, like people saying, oh yeah, he's got to be running some sort of cycle, right? Like you get that a lot.
I get that like every day.
Yeah, I mean, because most people cannot even come close to benching that sort of weight. I mean, you are genetically gifted in that sense. You really are. Like, there are people who could train their whole life and never get to 550. But the fact is, people need to accept that there are people that have that sort of gift, and that you might not be, you know, taking stuff. And the fact that there's a possibility that there might be people out there that can do it without drugs is just so beyond them, because they know they'll never be that strong. I look at it like that. But
I agree.
You know what? You just gotta push that to the side. And the fact you just did a drug-free meet with like strict rules and everything, I think says a lot. So.
Yeah, I think it does too. You know, like I said, it's about adapting. You know, and I'm glad that I was able to follow the rules that are needed to get a successful lift. You know, I was really nervous about my head coming up, and I'm very excited that I was able to actually keep it down. So like I said, there's no complaints on my end. You know, I did the best that I could. You know, a technical error cost me my third. You know, and just, you know, you got to learn from it and on to the next one, you know?
Yep. All right, man. Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to both my sponsors, Boat Apparel, which is the strongest name in the game, and then I'd also like to give a shout out to the Kilo Cartel, which is where we move weight by any means. You know, both of them truly believe in me. Kilo Cartel has helped me out a ton, getting me to meets, you know, getting hotels for me. I mean, they've done a ton for me. And just all the support that they give me, they really believe in me. And then as far as Bode, I mean, Jared is the guy who got me into powerlifting. You know, he's been my mentor from the start. He saw something in me at a very young age that I didn't see in myself, because I didn't know what I was capable of. And to have someone take the time and truly pursue the vision that he saw in me was, I mean, I'll be forever, you know,
Until next time.
Until next time.